In your financial journey, you may find yourself in need to borrow to make a fruitful investment or viable investment, or you may need to borrow to meet another need in your life. Today, we look at 7 considerations to make before borrowing, because if you have a justification for a borrowing, then you do not need to shy away or keep off. If you have an investment that you want to take, or you have a very justified need, then you don't need to shy away. Unless the question to whether you have a justification is no, then you don't borrow, or you are not sure, then you have to recheck so that you're sure before borrowing. Consideration number 1 is the purpose of the loan that you're taking. Ask yourself, why am I taking out this loan? Is my purpose legal? Is my purpose moral? Do I have a personal justification for the borrowing? If the answer to all those questions is yes, then the purpose is okay. Consideration number 2 is the repayment details for the loan. You ask yourself, what is the source of income that will service this loan? Is it salary? Is it business? Or is it both? Then you ask yourself, is that income adequate to cover the repayment for the loan and my other living expenses? If the source is indeed adequate to cover, then you ask, is it sustainable to cover the two for the period that the loan will be subsisting? Consideration number 3 is whether the loan requires a collateral or a security. If it does require, then you ask yourself, what is that security required? And check the value of the security against the extent of the need. If the value of the security required so far outweighs the need that you need to satisfy, then you need to rethink and reconsider that borrowing. Consideration number 4 is the creditor that you will be taking out the borrowing from. In the market, there are so many creditors and financiers, and they are all offering different products. They are all having different terms and requirements. They all levy different kind of costs for each product. So you need to look at what each of them is borrowing before you narrow down and settle on one, so that you have a comparative consideration. Consideration number 5 is the loan term, and that means the period the loan is going to run. You have to be very clear how long the loan will take to repay in full, because the time that the loan takes to be repaid has a direct effect on the total cost of the loan. So take that into consideration before you commit yourself, because it is a critical issue. Consideration number 6 is the interest terms. And this takes care of the rate of interest that is charged on that loan, the regime, that is whether it is a fixed rate or a fluctuating one, the cycle or frequency of the accrual of interest, whether it accrues daily, it accrues weekly or monthly, and whether the payment for that accrued interest is daily, weekly, monthly, so that you are not caught up without clear understanding. Consideration number 7, and the last one, is about the incidental costs. These are costs that accompany the borrowing that are not necessarily the loan itself. It's not interest, it's not the capital, it's not anything to do with the loan, but there are other charges that accompany the loan, and they are approximately 6 to 10% of the loan amount. And these are things like appraisal fees, some creditors will call it, Others will call it negotiation fees, others will call it commitment fees. There is the professional fees that accompany the loan. These are legal fees, valuation fees, survey fees, and any other professional fee that would be relevant. There are also things like insurance, registration fees for the government registries, rates and rents payable to the government, search fees also payable to the government, taxes, excise duty, and all those other kind of costs that would be levied because of the borrowing, but they are not necessarily the borrowing. With that, you will be sure that you're clear and you're comfortable to proceed and take your borrowing. So thank you so much for listening and tuning in, and let's continue to make the best credit decisions so that our lives are not adversely affected by the decisions we take.